Hey everyone, it's great to connect with you again today. It was great to see so many of you at church on Sunday, indoors and outdoors. We are following the same worship patterns again this week. Indoors for the streamed worship service at 10 a.m. and outdoors for worship at 11:15 a.m. We would love to see you at either service, so let me encourage you to make a reservation. We will be receiving Holy Communion on Sunday. If you're coming to the church, either indoors or outdoors, we have sealed elements for you. If you are worshiping by streaming, then you'll want to prepare elements of juice or water and bread. More events are in the works. The Operation Christmas Child deadline is only a few weeks away. The October 31st Harvest Treat Bag Drive-Thru we are collecting bags of candy and individual bags of chips and pretzels and things like that for distribution. We're also making plans for our prayer vigil. It will look different this year, but we believe it will be a meaningful time for us as a church once again. And there's small groups and Koinonia, youth group, and some virtual children's ministries as well. Tonight at 6:30, Judy Congdon is presenting an organ program of evening prayers and congregational songs. You are invited to stream the program or to come to the church. A few years ago, Craig Barnes, who is now president of Princeton Theological Seminary, wrote a book titled Hustling God. The title on its own intrigued me, and then to discover that the focus of the book is on the Old Testament patriarch Jacob intrigued me even more. If you remember anything about Jacob, you remember that he lives up to his name. He is a deceiver, a manipulator, a schemer. So much of his life is a struggle to believe that he is more than he thinks he is, by embracing the truth of who God says he is. And like so many of us, Jacob's journey is a zigzag of successes and failures, of starts and stops, of getting it and completely missing it. In the chapter titled Struggling with Ourselves, Barnes makes this comment: the reason we have so much difficulty believing that we are the beloved of God is that we know too much about ourselves. We are fully aware of what we've done and left undone, and we have great difficulty loving ourselves as a result. That's why we're so intent on changing ourselves to become more lovable, and why we're so ready to destroy ourselves when all of our plans fail. And then he adds, the Bible's rather clear about this. God doesn't love us because we deserve to be loved. The love comes only by the mystery of his grace. Barnes says the whole concept of grace is difficult for us, which is particularly unfortunate since grace is pretty much the fundamental point of the gospel. But as he explains, at least we aren't alone in this struggle. When you read the letters of Paul, especially Romans, you find him using virtually every means possible to not only explain God's grace, but to convince his readers that they are recipients of God's grace. And then Barnes concludes, grace is not so much the fulfillment of all our dreams. It's the fulfillment of God's dreams for us. Redemption, restoration. Grace is God's determination to give us what we need and not what we deserve. When you think of it that way, you have to wonder why we struggle with grace. You would think that knowing this, that our struggles with sin and life, that we would be thrilled to know that God's grace has nothing to do with our achievements or our failures, with our wins or our losses. But it seems to me that our struggle to believe is why the scriptures are filled virtually from beginning to end with words and stories, with poems and visions of God's wondrous, abundant grace. So let me challenge you, even as I challenge myself, to hear once again the truth of the gospel, of the good news of Jesus Christ, and to believe that God's grace is real, true, faithful, and for you, no matter what. And in this reality, to live in the joy of who he is, and because of who he is, who we are, his beloved children. Oh God, thank you for your grace. undeserved, and abundant. Open our eyes to see the truth of your grace for us, and our hearts to receive your grace for us. And in seeing and receiving, may we find and live in joy through Jesus Christ. Amen. Thanks for joining me. Have a wonderful day.